Power didn't just corrupt these kings, it convinced them they were divine. From rulers who demanded worship to emperors who dressed as gods and believed it. These are the moments when monarchs reached for heaven and dragged their empires down with them. Pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten didn't want better control of Egypt. He wanted total cosmic control. Around 1353 BCE, he inherited the richest empire on Earth and decided the real threat wasn't enemies or famine, it was other gods, so he deleted them. Entire pantheon gone. In its place stood Aten, the sun disk, and standing between Aten and humanity was Akhenaten himself. No priests, no rivals, just one glowing pipeline of divine authority. To lock this in, he abandoned Egypt's power centers and built a brand new capital, Amarna, in the desert. Bureaucracy stayed behind. The army drifted, while Akhenaten wrote poetry to sunlight and commissioned statues that made him look deliberately inhuman. Egypt's empire abroad collapsed under Hittite pressure. When he died, the experiment ended instantly. Gods restored, temples torn down, his name erased like a bad update. Archaeology later revealed malnutrition, overwork, and neglect. Akhenaten lived as a god. His people paid the price as humans. Ma's Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang didn't settle for ruling China. He wanted to outlive it. After unifying the warring states in 221 BCE, he scrapped the titles king and invented something bigger, emperor, not first among equals, not heaven's servant, a cosmic force. He believed immortality was achievable if you pushed hard enough, centralized enough, and swallowed the right chemicals. So he hunted eternal life obsessively. Taoist alchemists fed him elixirs made with mercury, the same substance now blamed for his paranoia and mental collapse. While he searched for godhood, he built a backup plan. An underground empire guarded by thousands of terracotta soldiers designed to serve him forever. It didn't work. He died in 210 BCE on a routine inspection tour. His death was hidden for days, his body smuggled in a cart of rotting fish to mask the smell. The dynasty he meant to last 10,000 generations collapsed 3 years later. Immortality failed. Mortality won. Caligula. Most Roman emperors waited until death to become gods. Caligula didn't have the patience. Ruling from 37 to 41 CE, he demanded worship while still alive. He built a bridge from his palace to Jupiter's temple so he could visit as an equal. He swapped the heads on statues with his own. One day he was Hercules, the next, Venus. Rome wasn't an empire anymore. It was his costume closet. The problem was Rome's memory. Romans tolerated emperors, not gods. Caligula's divine act turned into open insanity. He allegedly declared war on the sea, ordered soldiers to collect seashells as trophies, and humiliated the Senate for sport. Worship became mandatory. Loyalty evaporated. In 41 CE, the Praetorian Guard solved the problem in a hallway. After his murder, the Senate erased his godhood and labeled him mad. Caligula learned the hard way. In Rome, gods don't need bodyguards. And Alexander the Great. Alexander didn't start as a god. He became one halfway through conquering the world. After visiting the oracle at Siwa, where he was hailed as the son of Zeus Ammon, Alexander decided this wasn't a compliment. It was a job title. From that point on, he expected divine treatment. Persian-style prostration, sacred silence, no reminders that his father was a very mortal Philip II. This didn't go well with Macedonian soldiers who remembered fighting beside him in mud and blood. When his closest friend, Clytus, mocked Alexander's god act during a drunken argument, Alexander killed him on the spot. A god who murders his own inner circle doesn't inspire loyalty, only fear. Alexander died suddenly in 323 BCE, probably from fever, not lightning. His empire died immediately after. Gods are unique. Empires need successors. Alexander left none, and his generals tore the world apart fighting over the remains. A man who ruled everything couldn't rule what came next. The Commodus. Commodus didn't want to rule Rome. He wanted to perform it. Reigning from 180 to 192 CE, he declared himself the reincarnation of Hercules and expected everyone to clap. He strutted around in a lion skin, renamed the months after himself, and even rebranded Rome as Colonia Commodiana. because nothing says godhood like bad marketing. Instead of governing, Commodus fought as a gladiator in the Colosseum, carefully choosing opponents who were wounded, chained, or already half dead. Gods apparently don't like fair fights. The crowd cheered, but the Senate cringed. The Roman emperor was supposed to embody dignitas. Commodus embodied ego. The act was expensive, humiliating, and dangerous. In 192 CE, his inner circle ended the show early. He was strangled in his bath by his own wrestling partner. Rome learned a lesson. When a ruler plays God for applause, someone eventually pulls the curtain. Ramses II. Ramses II didn't just claim divinity, he sold it for 66 straight years. Ruling from 1279 to 1213 BCE, he covered Egypt with colossal statues of himself, often seated at eye level with the gods. At Abu Simbel, Ramses wasn't worshipping Ra, he was Ra. Festivals celebrated his divine renewal. Priests preached his eternity. Egypt believed. The problem was longevity. Ramses lived too long. He outlasted heirs, drained the treasury with monuments, ruled into the early cracks of the Bronze Age collapse. By the time he died in his 90s, the system built around his godhood was exhausted. His successors quietly stripped gold from his temples to fund defenses. Today, Ramses rests as a mummy in a museum. The statues survived, the god didn't. Eternity, it turns out, has a shelf life. Antiochus IV. Antiochus IV didn't hint at divinity. He printed it on the coins, calling himself Epiphanes, meaning God manifest. He ruled the Seleucid Empire from 175 to 164 BCE and decided belief was a policy, not a choice. His plan was simple: one culture, one religion, one God, him. Then he made his fatal move. Antiochus marched into Jerusalem, banned Jewish rituals, and installed a statue of Zeus modeled on his own face inside the Holy Temple. To Antiochus, this was unity. To his subjects, it was blasphemy with a smug haircut. The result was the Maccabean Revolt, a guerrilla uprising faith didn't intimidate. Antiochus died suddenly in 164 BCE, far from home, as his empire fractured behind him. His godhood didn't unify anything. It lit the fuse. Louis XIV. Louis XIV never said he was a god. He didn't have to. From 1643 to 1715, he positioned himself as the Sun King, the center of the universe, with France orbiting on schedule. Every movement of his day was ritualized. Waking up was a ceremony. Sleeping was a ceremony. Versailles wasn't a palace. It was a temple where nobles worshipped proximity. The illusion worked brilliantly and disastrously. Endless wars for glory, crushing taxes, and religious persecution hollowed the country beneath the gold leaf. Louis died peacefully, convinced his system was eternal. It wasn't. 74 years later, the revolution didn't just kill a king, it killed the idea that God picked rulers. The Sun King set, and France never believed again. Nero? Nero didn't think ruling was divine. His talent was. Reigning from 54 to 68 CE, he believed the gods had gifted him music, poetry, and stage presence. And Rome existed to watch. After the Great Fire of 64 CE, he built the Domus Aurea, crowned by a massive statue of himself as Sol, the sun god. The message was clear: Rome burned, but the god looked fabulous. Nero abandoned armies, governors, and budgets to tour Greece, forcing judges to crown him winner in every competition. Gods, after all, don't lose. Back home, revolts spread. Legions defected. The Senate ran out of patience. Declared a public enemy, Nero fled and killed himself in 68 CE, crying, "What an artist dies in me?" History disagreed. Rome didn't need a god with applause. It needed a ruler. Shulgi of Ur. Shulgi ruled the Neo-Sumerian Empire from 2094 to 2046 BCE and took divinity very seriously. He didn't just call himself a god, he documented it. Hymns praised his superhuman strength, his flawless wisdom, and his claim that he could run over 100 miles in a single day through storms. Shulgi wasn't ruling a kingdom. He was running a divine performance review, but his godhood was tied to an extreme bureaucracy. Every field, worker, and grain shipment flowed through a centralized system that only worked if the king remained perfect. When climate shifts and nomadic invasions hit, the divine machine stalled. Gods aren't supposed to fail audits. After Shulgi's death, faith collapsed with the paperwork. Ur fell. The God King became legend. His lesson survived. Empires run on institutions, not immortality. They claimed divinity, ruled like gods, and learned the same ending every time. Crowns don't make you immortal, and empires don't survive divine delusion.